before we do anything, just take a minute, kind of sway from side to side. And then start to sway smaller and smaller until you kind of feel that middle point between your sitting bones. Good. And then just start to close your eyes. Feel your tailbone root down and then lift up through the crown of your head. And just take a few breaths to kind of just notice what you feel. And for today, let's focus on any physical discomfort that you might be feeling. So if it is in the hands, if it is in the wrists, bring your focus there. If it is like your neck or your jaw, wherever it is, just bring your awareness to that spot and take a few breaths and just notice it. And then don't think too hard about it, but wherever it is that your mind went to, take a hand to that place. So if it's a hand, you maybe just take your other hand and put it on it, or a wrist. If it's your neck and your shoulders, like it is for me, I'm gonna put both hands there just because it makes sense, right? And then awareness, breath. And just be with that sensation for a couple breaths and notice what happens with it. Sometimes just bringing a hand to the area can kind of help it to soften and relax. And sometimes you'll notice like a shift. So just notice what happens. Make a mental note of it. Take one more big breath. Good, and then blink your eyes open. Bring your hands back to your lap. Okay, bring your right hand in front of you. We'll just start doing like a little finger stretch. This is one of my favorite things. It feels so good. So palm facing up, hand in front of you, elbow straight, and just bring your other hand underneath, grab onto the thumb, and gently pull the thumb back toward your forearm. And then just take a breath there. Good, and then move on to the next finger. So we'll bring it to your pointer finger. Good, your middle finger. Good, so all of your fingers are straight and spreaded. As you do this, go to your next finger. Gently pull back. Good, and then to your pinky. Good, let that go. Just turn your palm to face forward and just pulse it a couple times. Fist and let go. Good. And then when you're done with that, bring your left hand in front of you. Right hand comes underneath and just grab that thumb, gently, gently pull it back. Take a big deep breath. Good, and then pointer finger. And what I always notice when I do this is how my fingers are connected to all of this, starting at the wrist and going all the way up to my elbow. So if you notice that, just notice it. Middle finger. And it's kind of like that with our whole body, right? Move on to the next finger. Is like, sometimes we think that the problem is in one place, but that we realize once we start working that place and stretching that place, how connected it might be to some other thing. Good, and then to your pinky. I am of course not saying that is the case all the time, but sometimes. So it's just interesting to explore it. Good, let that go. Turn your palm to face forward and just a couple fists and let go. Good. All right, shake both hands out a couple times. Good. And then interlace your hands behind your back. Hug your elbows in. Start to straighten those elbows. Lift your chest. Lean back a little bit. Oh, there's a puppy behind me. Hello, puppy. Oh, good. And then let that go. Bring your hands together in front of your heart and really let your elbows flare out to the sides. Spread through all 10 fingers, okay? And then keep your forearms where they are in space. Just let your thumbs go to the right and go really slow, and then go to the left. And again, it's like such a simple little thing, but the entire underside of my arm, of my forearm, is like, whoa. It feels like a big stretch. So just kind of notice. Good. Interlace your hands, press your palms away, and then reach your arms up and overhead for a moment. Good. And then just kind of go to one side and to the other side a couple times. Nice. And then let that go. One more stretch for the wrists. Bring your fingers to the floor in front of you and go really, really easy and slow with this. But just start to, like, if you have your finger pads down, start to bring your second knuckle down. If that feels okay, you start to bring your third knuckle down. And you may start to come forward enough that you start to get the heel of your hand down into the floor. But like, don't push it. Go really slow, really gentle. Notice like where your edge is and just breathe into it for a moment. Good. And then just back off of that. Bring your weight back to your sitting bones. Shake things out again. Good. And when you're ready, come onto hands and knees. All right. Take a moment on your hands and knees and just really spread through the fingers. Make sure you have your weight kind of distributed evenly between one hand and the other. And this is the time where you kind of just wiggle around in whatever way would feel good to you. So maybe it's just a tail wag. Maybe it's a cat and cow. One thing that feels good to me after I'm doing some wrist stretches is to kind of just let my shoulders make circles around my wrists. So that's another option. But focus on the breath. Good. And when you've gotten some of your wiggles out, take a moment. Bring your knees wide. Bring your big toes to touch. Sit your hips to your heels and take a child's pose. So forehead can come down into your mat. And just follow the breath in through the nose and back out. Couple more times. Let your breath go all the way down to your low belly. And all the way back out. Good. And then walk yourself back up to hands and knees. Good. Pause here, hips right over your knees. And then walk your hands forward and come into a puppy pose. So this is going to be your down dog alternate. Forehead down to the mat. Press down through your hands to find the undersides of your arms lift up. And then can you notice how your shoulders kind of wrap around you? Good. Pull your belly in and up slightly. Lift your ribs. And take 2 more breaths. Good. Start to walk your hands back when you're ready. Make your way back to hands and knees. Step your right foot behind you, toes to the floor, heel reaching. Big, big stretch. Bring your weight into your fingertips as much as you can. And it's not just like you're pressing down through the fingertips, but as you press down, it's almost like you're being a little kitty cat and you're pulling inward toward the center of your palm. Good. And then switch. Left leg comes back. Toes to the floor, heel reaching. Big stretch through the fingers and pull that energy in toward the center of your palm. Good. Come back to hands and knees. Maybe do a little wiggle in whatever way would feel good to you. Good. And then as you're ready, step your right foot forward between your hands. Good. Adjust as you need to, so the ankle's right under that knee, and then press through the foot to come up to a low lunge. Good. Pause here for a moment, and then reach your arms up and overhead. Start to lift your chest, soften down through the shoulders, spread your fingers a lot. Big deep breath. All the way down to your low belly, and then follow it all the way back out. Good. Big breath in again. And exhale, hands come back to either side of that front foot. Step back, hands and knees. Set yourself up again. Do a little wiggle if you would like to. And then step your left foot forward. Good. Knee right over that ankle. Press through the foot and lift yourself up. Whoa. Balance check. Reach your arms. Pause just for a minute here. Press down through everything that's on the floor. So your foot, your back knee, and then out of that, lift up and out and reach through the fingertips. Big deep breath in all the way down to the belly and all the way back out again. Good. And then one more big breath in and exhale. Hands come back to the floor. Good. Come back to hands and knees. Good. Take a big breath in here. And with an exhale, tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back, come into a downward facing dog. And of course, you have the option to do a puppy pose or a child's pose instead if you would rather. If you are in downward facing dog, I recommend you let the knees bend a little bit. And take a minute to just wiggle your hips from side to side. Get acquainted with your hamstrings. Shake out your head, yes and no. Good. And then come back to hands and knees. Good. Inhale in your hands and knees. Exhale to downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Good. A couple more just like that. Inhale forward. Exhale, down dog, or you can do it from plank pose. I mean, not plank, child's pose, which would look like this. I'll show you on the next one. Inhale forward, exhale back. You can do child's pose. Good. Inhale forward, exhale child's pose or down dog. Good. One more just for good measure. Inhale forward. And exhale back. Nice. Inhale forward. Exhale, stay in your tabletop. Inhale, bring your right leg back behind you. Exhale, pull your knee in toward your nose, round back. Good. Inhale, reach the leg again. And exhale, pull the knee in toward the nose, round the upper back, press the floor away, and plant the foot between the hands. Good. This version, you're gonna bring that hand to the inside of the front foot and step the right foot off into the right just a little bit. Good, for a lizard pose. And then you can be on your fingertips. You can grab a block, you can grab whatever you have handy if you'd like to lift yourself up a little bit. And then you choose, back knee can stay to the floor, or you can tuck the toes under it, lift it up and back. We'll just take a couple breaths here and kind of play with different things to get into the place that you need to. So I'm not feeling a whole lot right here, so I'm going to bring my forearms down. I'm gonna let my knee go out to the side a little bit and get into the outside of my hip a little bit more. Right? You may wanna do that, or you may be fine where you are. Thank you very much. That's totally fine. Take a few big deep breaths. Good. If you lifted the back knee, put it back down. Walk your hands back up if you're on your forearms and step back into down dog, puppy pose, or child's pose for just a couple breaths. And of course, wiggle around, whatever way would feel good to you.